Which piece of furniture am I gonna do this week? What am I gonna make?
It's all about that bass,
Wait,
no trouble.
Wait, what
It's
song are you
all
singing?
It's all about that bass. I cannot get that song out of my head right now.
I've got just the idea. We're gonna build a base, and I think I've got the perfect piece. You guys, this is the perfect piece to finally try out the DIY wife base that I have been wanting to try for so long now. And now that we've got the perfect piece, and Craig is going to be sponsoring this video to help me make this base, let's get to it. Hey guys, welcome back to Furniture Flipping Teacher. It's Lauren here, and you heard me right. Today I am creating the DIY wife base, but first we've got to get this piece cleaned. And I am going to be using a new to me paint, and it also came with some furniture prep, which is going to help me clean this piece. So Lily Moon Paint is a newer brand of paint that I'm really excited to try on this project. So shout out to Lily Moon Vintage. Their furniture prep is in just a small bottle like this, and you just need 6 ounces in a gallon bucket. And the best part of it is that it doesn't leave residue, and it also doesn't have a smell, which means I don't have to wear a mask, but also I don't have to do a rinse because it's not gonna leave behind anything on my surface. So a one-step furniture prep, sign me up. So I found this piece about a month ago at Goodwill for just $50. So really not too bad for the shape that it's in. And I just knew that it was going to be the absolute perfect piece to build the base, because if you can tell, it's pretty short. So we're definitely gonna give it some height. So I was removing all the drawers, and there's a little caterpillar friend back in there. So this furniture prep, it definitely has a slight odor, but it's not like overwhelming or anything. I can't really describe it. I don't know what the smell is, but I can definitely smell something. But it's doing a really good job of cleaning all of the dust away, and then I'm even getting down here in the insides. And that's why we clean, you guys. Make sure your furniture is clean. It is literally the most important step of every step in flipping and painting furniture. Our next step though is to scuff sand. So I'm gonna be using my Surf Prep sander, and this is gonna just allow me to just give it a little bit of texture so that that paint can adhere. And this is a veneer, so I'm gonna be pretty careful not to go through it. I'm just gonna be using a 220 grit. Again, I'm not trying to get down below the finish, but just giving it a little bit of tooth. All right, for primer today, I'm just gonna do a spot primer, which means I'm not gonna prime the entire piece. I'm gonna be using the shellac-based clear primer that's going to just block any stains that might possibly come through. And the reason I'm not priming the entire thing is because I only went through the finish on a couple of spots. The spots that are lighter is where I'm going to be using my shellac. I don't want too much on each spot because I don't want it to puddle up. So just quick sprays across the surface is all I need in the lighter areas. All right, that should do it for primer. So that's gonna dry. In the meantime, I am going to measure for the base. as I told you at the very beginning, we are gonna be creating a base, and it is the DIY Wife base. If you haven't checked out her channel, Andrea and Dean over there at DIY Wife are hilarious and amazing, and she is just a great artist when it comes to furniture, homes, everything. Check them out. I am going to be measuring for the base, and so I'm gonna do the sides and I'm gonna do the front. 17.5. And then Andrea said that she takes off a 1/4 inch after she measures the sides. So I'm gonna call it 17 inches. For the front, 63, so take off a 1/4 inch there. We're gonna need 62 3/4 inches. So let's head to Home Depot. All right, we are gonna be getting some red oak for the base because Andrea suggests hardwood, and this oak is very hardwood. I can actually tell the difference of weight between this versus like a pine board or something like that. So we're gonna get this one for the feet. We should be good if we need to do about either 6 to 8 inch legs. This will be plenty for all 4. All right, we've got what we need. Got an 8-foot 1x3 red oak board. It's $2.50 a foot, so we're gonna look right at about 20 bucks-ish. And then this right here is 15. So all in all, we're gonna be right in around $35 to $40. So really not too bad. Then this is really gonna add some value to the dresser too. All right, we just made it back from Home Depot, and you guys, I took advantage of the Black Friday sale. Usually I don't shop on Black Friday, but I couldn't pass up this amazing deal with my new DeWalt compound miter saw. I'm super excited. This is gonna be my first project with it, but of course, many more to come. So I got the red oak, and I need to go ahead and cut it down to size, and I'm excited that I get to do this by myself with my own saw. And I've had a little experience with these saws, but I'm really taking precautions to make sure that I am being safe as possible. So I've got my gloves on, I've got my eyewear, I've got my hair tied back, and we've got the clamp over here. We're gonna clamp it down. I measured, and this one needs to be 63 inches, but since the legs are about 1.5 inches wide on each side, we're gonna cut that down 3 inches. So that's gonna be 60 inches, so just right at 5 feet for this piece. So I am going to go ahead and measure that out. We've got our first board. That's gonna go on the front. So now we need to do the 2 sides. All right, so these are gonna be our side pieces. They're the exact same, which is exactly what we want. And then we've got some left over here. So, I mean, I'll save it in case I ever have something that's this short. Now comes the fun part. This is where we get to design the legs. So I have to think about how tall I want this to be, and I have to think about the angle at which I want to cut the legs. Luckily for me, I got the saw that allows me to rotate it so I can change the angle on the saw, on the piece, and on the cut. When I was watching Andrea, she suggested that you keep your piece long and then you make your angled cuts, because that gives you a longer board over here to hold on to. Then you'll cut that one off, you'll make your angled cut again, and then the back legs don't need angled cuts because you're not really gonna see those. All right, so I set my saw at 60 degrees here, and I'm hoping that that's gonna be a pretty good angle here for the legs, but we're gonna find out. We've got a little angle there for our one side. We get to decide how tall we want it. So I've seen, 4-inch, 6-inch, 8-inch. My dresser is so short, I didn't measure it, but I'd say it's like less than 3 feet tall. I think I'm gonna go ahead and go with the 8-inch legs. I'm gonna make sure that I have enough for 4 8-inch legs real quick. So that would be 28. Math genius here. All right, and we've got 36. So definitely enough there for 4 8-inch legs. We've got 4 8-inch legs. 2 of them have angles for prettiness in the front. And then we've got our sides and we've got our front, and we're done cutting. Next step is we're gonna sand these babies down. All right, all good on sanding here. Let's get the Craig jig out. So like I said at the beginning of this video is sponsored by Craig, so shout outs to them. I am super excited to break this thing open. I actually, in a couple of videos ago, I used the Craig R3 Junior, which is a perfectly great option, especially if you're just starting out. I really learned a lot when I was just using this, but I thought that I would go ahead and upgrade because I am having a lot of fun using the Craig jig. So I ended up getting the Pocket Hole Jig 720 Pro, and that is right here. I'm going to show you all the awesome features of it, and then how to get the pocket holes and why it is essential to do pocket holes when you are building a base or things like that. So the first awesome thing that I want to show you about the 720 Pro here is that you don't have to have any clamps when you're using this contraption here. So what I mean by that is all of it is built in here. So if I am going to be making holes into this board here, all I've got to do is slide it right down in there, and this right here works as my clamp to go ahead and lock that in place, and then I can screw my holes in right there through the contraption. So that's pretty cool. And one of the best features that I just found is that it actually has a attachment for my Festool vacuum dust extractor that I attached to my Surf Prep sander. So all I did right here was took my sander off, because if you didn't know, the Surf Prep doesn't actually come with a vacuum, that's separate. And then I'm gonna put this attachment on here. We're gonna pop that right in this hole. And when I screw these holes in, instead of getting a whole bunch of sawdust, it's going to go all right into my vacuum. So less cleanup, that's awesome. So when you're creating these pocket holes with the Craig jig, it's very, very important that you do measurements correctly and that you've got all of your settings done right so that your screws in the end don't protrude out. So the Craig jig comes with a drill bit that is specifically made to and created to make these pocket holes. I need to set my drill bit at 3¼ inches. Okay, and then we've got to think about what types of holes and how many and where we want to put them. So I have got the sides here, the two sides of my base. So I'm going to be putting 2 holes here and 2 holes here on both of those because that's where I'm going to be attaching the back legs and the front legs. So that's going to be my first step. I want this side to be the back or the inside, not shown. Now I've got it clamped in, and again, it has its own thickness. I put the collar on here just in case. Okay. And there we have it. We've got our 2 pocket holes on this side. And now I'm going to make some exactly the same way on this side. Okay, so my sides are done. And it's always recommended that you put your pocket holes in the thinner boards. So I'm not gonna put any in my legs because that's the thicker board. I'm gonna attach these essentially to these boards with these pocket holes. Next, I'm gonna do the ends of this long board. I do wanna show you that you can also, with the 720, turn it over instead of having it like this up and down. I can turn it over, and instead of having my board go way up high in the air, I can put it like this, clamp it in here. There we go. We've got our pocket holes here. Next step is to reinforce and be able to attach it to my actual dresser, because these holes, like I said, are for the legs. So what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be making 2 sets on the smaller boards of pocket holes that go up toward where I'm going to be attaching it. All right, I misspoke earlier. And I just found out that my collar actually fell off here. This is the collar, and it went all the way through. So you do need the collar on the 720. So I'm sorry about that. You live and you learn. So what I'm gonna do to make this right is I'm just going to put another hole here, and that one will just be for nothing. So now that we've got all of our pocket holes drilled in, we are ready to put the legs on. I have practiced and practiced to make sure that I am going to do a good job attaching the legs. So that is something that I always recommend, is to practice. So I practice pocket holes, I practice screwing them in with my scrap pieces of wood. With every Craig jig, they are going to also give you a bit that fits. It's a square and it's long enough so that it can go into the pocket holes. So that's pretty awesome. At any hardware store, they've got the Craig screws, or you can order them online. Each jig does come with some sample screws that you can use as well, but again, those are limited quantities. I got the 1 1/4 inch screws because in the directions and online, there are different screw lengths that you can get, but since I have a 3/4 inch board, it recommends to do a 1 1/4 inch screw. The hard wood needs to be fine threaded versus the soft woods, which needs a coarser thread. Okay, so we're gonna clamp this guy here. The 720 Pro comes with this clamp, but they've also got tons of other options as well on their website. Well, my wood split on my leg. So I'm doing something not correctly, but I'm just not sure what it is. Yeah, back to the drawing board.
2.
So I went back to the drawing board and I've been there for the past 1, 2, 3 hours probably. I really want to get this right for you guys and for me, and this is a complete learning experience for me, and I'm glad that I'm able to share this with you. But on the other side, I just hate making mistakes, but I know that we learn from our mistakes, so hopefully you guys can learn from the mistakes I'm making. But here we go. I finally think that I figured it out. First, we moved over here because I wanted a flatter surface and I was able to clamp a lot better over here. And second, I figured out that there are 2 different types of Craig screws. I am trying a different type of pocket hole screw, still Craig screw, but if you'll notice, the one that I was using had a different type of top on the screw than the one that I'm going to try now, and this is the type that I've used before. Not only that, I am going to be switching down to a 1 inch screw as opposed to a 1 1/4 inch screw. And I know that the dimensions on the Craig instructions say to do the 1 1/4 inch, but it's just not working for me. It's splitting my wood every single time, and I'm getting really frustrated. So I am gonna go with the 1 inch, and then hopefully that one will not split my wood. I did try it one time and it looks like to me it's not splitting here, so cross your fingers for me because we're gonna keep on going and hoping that no more wood gets split. All right, and there we have it. We are connected. You guys, we finally have built our base. It was so frustrating, but now that it's built, we're gonna go ahead and put some stain on it. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, for the stain of the base here, I'm gonna be using the Voodoo Gel stain from Dixie Belle in the color Tobacco Road. This is probably one of my favorite stains for a couple reasons. The color is awesome, and not only that, but it's water-based. So that means that you don't have to deal with all that sticky stain and then using polyurethane over the top of it. right, I believe we got it all stained. So much easier than oil-based stain. So I'm gonna let this dry now, and in the meantime, we're gonna head over to the dresser and we're gonna get some paint on that. All right, so I am gonna be using Lily Moon paint for the very first time today, and I'm using the color Night Sky. It is a beautiful, deep blue-green color. This plus the base on this dresser, I think that it's going to be a great combo. All right, you guys, the first coat is on. It is looking amazing. The drawers are already down there drying, and I can just tell, I've been feeling them, and I can just see that the finish is great. It is that matte finish, like chalk style, but there's no brush stroke marks. So we're gonna let this first coat dry, and we'll come back for coat number 2. We're ready for coat number 2. Just gonna be doing the exact same thing. And I don't think I mentioned before that I'm using this round zebra brush here to get into the handles of these drawers. Now, this style is definitely a different style. I could have used Bondo and filled all these in and then put some different hardware on there, but I just wanted to see how I could make this stay the same and then show you guys that even this old and outdated furniture can be upcycled and refurbished, even just keeping it the way that it was before. So let's do coat number 2. All finished up with coat number 2 here, so let's let that dry and we'll come back for the top coat. All right, I'm gonna be using Verithane's polyurethane, but it's water-based, so this is going to be my top coat. I picked up a new zebra brush as well, and I'm gonna be using the 2.5-inch angled brush to apply the top coat here. We are on the home stretch here, and it's the true moment of truth to see if this can be attached appropriately and stay on as well. All right, so I've got all of my tools, so I just need my drill for the pocket hole screws, and then I've got my pocket hole screws, and I'm actually gonna be using the 1-inch soft plywood screws because it has a coarser screw thread here. So the reason I'm using the softwood is because that's what I'm going into, is more of a plywood material. All right, all of our pocket holes have now got screws in them. It feels pretty solid, like it's on there. So I'm gonna have Neem come over here and we're gonna flip this baby over and we'll show you the final result. Wow, you guys. All in all, I love how this turned out. The hardware situation that's going on is a little bit unique, but I think it still works. I really think that the base not only literally elevates the piece, but I think that it elevates the quality of the piece, the look of the piece. It becomes more trendy. And I've heard Andrea and Dean mention that doing these bases just sets you apart from other people, and it attracts buyers who may be willing to spend a little bit more money because it's a little bit more sophisticated of a look. Shout out to Craig for just building this base possible, making it very sturdy, helping me make it very sturdy. It really helped me out. I really enjoyed using the Lily Moon paint. It's a chalk style paint, but it just has a little bit of some different qualities than other chalk paints that I've used. It's not so thick, and so the consistency of it allows it to go on super, super smooth. And then, like I said, when I was painting, it has amazing self-leveling qualities, which in a chalk paint is pretty rare. So again, try that out. It's pretty awesome paint. And plus, you'll be supporting another small business paint, and she paints her own furniture as well. So definitely head over to their Instagram page, Lily Moon Vintage and Lily Moon Paint. I hope you guys enjoyed this flip. I am excited to be trying new things. I'm trying something new next week as well. So be sure to get subscribed, hit that notification bell, because we've got some fun things planned for the end of the year and also going into 2022. And we'd love to have you guys along with us. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you on the flip side.